Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Cube Counselor. A little bit of a different episode here. I was not intending to talk about this deck. I wanted to try out, for those of you who are familiar, this is the Core Cube set that was recently up on MTGO, another one of their cube spotlights, and I will include in the description below the author or the architect of this cube talking about his list, or at least post the list, because this will be a couple weeks after the cube is already gone. So let me know if that's been an issue for people. If you'd like to see the content a little closer to the time it's up, we could certainly try to do that. So I do appreciate everyone's feedback on the show. Um, but yeah, we have the core cube here, and it's if you've played a core cube before, only cards that have been in core sets might seem at its surface, I know it has for me in the past, seem like that's not the most exciting um, way to draft, but I would say my impression definitely was wrong. It's very fun. There's a lot of synergy that if the architect is mindful of, they can find across these. Well, and there's been what 25 of them now. It's not powered though, so obviously it's not going to have time walk and stuff like that from the original core set, right? But there is a lot of fun and powerful cards. You see Primeval Titan here. I've always thought Voracious Hydra is very good in draft. Managorger Hydra. So you see where we went here. We were first pick Bribery and kind of stayed in blue. I think we even took a Force Spike early, maybe a Mind Stone, and then kind of started to get to a point in the middle of our draft where we weren't really sure on our second color and weren't really confident. I know that's something I say a lot, but really kind of stuck to blue. I think we got a mid pack Sublime Epiphany, so we were feeling pretty good. Don't remember if we had any other colors, even 3 or 4, 5 picks in. Then we took I think Managorger Hydra, and then we tried to take some of the ramp spells, maybe even Wood Elves or something came early. Second pick, pick one was Primeval Titan. So I felt like, hey, we were rewarded for kind of, hedging on black blue there, or I'm sorry, blue green there at the end. So, but again, going into the draft, and something we'll talk about as we wrap up, it wasn't feeling too confident. Just felt like it was blue green take the best stuff. I try to record my first draft of the different cubes that go up, and this was one. I'll be honest, I was a little uneasy. Didn't have as much time. Was drafting like during the day when my kids were running around. You may even hear them in the background now. Um, so just wanted to jam, quick. Didn't really want to talk over my draft. And again, was just kind of wanted to try this one out before. I had watched J-Bro draft a few times, Caleb D, so didn't really have a ton of experience. Didn't even really see anybody's full league, so really was going in mostly blind. So, cards like Dungeon Geist, you can kind of see the power in a 3/3 flyer that taps something down, Primeval Titan, Voracious Hydra, Waker of the Waves. Again, Bribery, first pick, seemed pretty powerful in a set that was going to focus on core set cards. So, again, I wasn't really confident in it. I was like, well, I have a little bit of ramp. I have a little bit of powerful. I have some powerful cards, and that's kind of what I went with. So, one hurdle that we have overcome here, and we'll try to go through these relatively quickly, is the replays are working now. So that's one hurdle that we've overcome. If you watched the last video, we had some technical difficulties. So we'll kind of fly through these games here, and you'll kind of see why we wanted to talk about this here. So we're playing I believe he ends up being red, he or she ends up being red-black. I should just say our opponent, he, she, or they ends up being red-black. Maybe even a third color. I forgot, maybe Mardu. But again, it's going pretty fast here, so I do apologize if you were hoping to hear some technical plays. But really, it's just get the ramp out. We tried to force the Hydra, hoping they didn't have it. And, then we cycle or use the other ability on Waker of the Waves. find Primeval Titans. And we're off and running. We didn't get a ton of lands in here, but I think our fixing with like Fertile Ground um, and, well, Primeval Titan. And I should say the original list, there was definitely some changes that we'll kind of talk about as we go here. Definitely brought in Palaka Worm, if you saw him there in the sideboard a few times. Didn't really end up needing the, I believe it's Marble Diamond here. So we didn't end up really needing that. We ended up boarding it out a lot just because we had other cards that found us our land and ramped. Wood Elves was just so, to talk about some of the cards that were really all-stars. Primeval Titan is insanely powerful. You're just pulling. We were able to play a 16 land deck because we had, some ramp and some cards that find. We could have maybe even went less if we wanted to be real greedy. I think that was a mistake there, not to block that by our opponent. You probably want to get that off the table. It's just, again, it doesn't seem that powerful when you don't have a ton of utility lands, but just pulling all of your lands out of the deck is just very powerful. It makes your draws better, and I say that, and I think we actually draw a land here. But so you see, the opponent has some insanely powerful cards too. They seem to be. Apologies again. Our opponent seems to be big dragons. Nothing wrong with that. That's a fun thing to do, but we just happen to have one pretty big answer in a huge voracious Hydra. You may pause it there. That is probably a point of discussion. I felt like it was the right call there. He can really kill anything we have. But with the Dracuseth, he's gonna kill 9,000 of pretty much wipe our board. So we went ahead and killed that. That seems like a kill on sight card. Now this is pretty powerful too, but it does give us a chance to get another permanent onto the battlefield. So he gets us here with a fling. We kind of had him. Maybe could have found something else or figured it out. But he gets us there with the fling. Our opponent gets us there. So we go on to game 2. And we're going to go through these again pretty quickly. So I think that was really the only interesting point in that game was, what to kill. Fling, it is what it is. He's got big creatures. Nothing really I could do about that unless I had my 1 or 2 counter spells in hand. So yeah, Mind Stone helps us ramp a little bit. I think here again, we just jam the Hydra and it ends up getting killed. I think you saw it. If you saw quickly, he used Pyroclasm to kill it. So, oh no, it doesn't get killed this game. Okay, Horny Nest is a challenge here. We don't want to. It's good that cards have trample, and that's what we do here. He doesn't end up blocking, but they don't end up blocking. But you can assign the damage, and then they only get the 2 insects from it. Because, if you have a card where it does like 9 damage and they block, they get 9 insects. So, good to have creatures with trample. Trample, an underrated mechanic, especially in draft. So you see here, our opponent gets flying Death Touch creatures, which is very powerful. But again, with trample creatures, of course we don't want to lose our creatures. But I felt like we were doing okay. Again, even playing Dracuseth here. We're just going to go ahead and bribery, make this creature bigger, so even if he wants to block, but we did not know they have Bogarden Hellkite, which divides the 5 damage, so even though he has Dracuseth here to kill some of our stuff, we're still in a great position because he can't really kill any of our big things, and then we can just shove with everything, and the opponent scoops. So Elder Gargaroth, very good. Hard to rate Elder Gargaroth in this draft because I feel like I only attacked with him a few times just because he is very powerful. So the beast usually gets a concession if you get an attack in. So again, we're going a little fast here. We got a couple games we want to fly through here. And Silvan Ranger, I for some reason thought it put a land into play like Sakura Tribe Elder, but That's okay, still a very good card. Good, fixing, quote unquote. And you see that's kind of what we're doing here. We've got 5 or 6 ramp or find land cards, and that's what we want to do. So we're going to double spell here on turn 4. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 available mana. So that's a great thing. Not really, don't know if that was the right play. I just really wanted to get my 3/3 flyer out and start beating down before he starts playing, before the opponent starts playing gigantic creatures. But again, bribery, amazing. They kill it right away, but we've wiped their board for 5 mana, and then even our little guys can get in here. Our little elves. Got a lot of elf scouts, elf scout tribal. So then we're going to play Hydra here. I think because the opponent hasn't played much, I think we're doing okay. But Hydra's not very big, so I forgot the name of this. The Victus, right? Asmati. Super cool card. Barely remember it from M19, but I think that's a pretty cool ability. But again, the Hydra comes through, an amazing card. Pretty much in any format, I'll take that. So we win match 1. All right, we're off to a great start. All right, don't cheat and look. All right, you probably already looked at the results. I didn't realize that. But we're still going to go through this. We want to look for interesting game points. Again, we're going through a little bit fast, but part of the reason I want to show this, hopefully you can give me some feedback. I was encouraged to try and post something out of this, and I will try to record all drafts, even if I end up not using the sound or something like that because the kids are running around, or I didn't feel like talking while I drafted. Maybe I can go back, because I think that was important here. I wish we had the draft here, and that's something I want to take away from this. But did talk to my wonderful producer, Mr. Haj Gulashi himself, who encouraged me to make this video and to be mindful of recording. And then if it's something that's not really usable or doesn't have a ton of value for the channel, I can not use that. So we see Waker of the Waves here, pretty good against Dungeon Geist, just because it still shrinks everybody, which is not bad. I think I can kind of go ahead for you. Pyromancer's Goggles is pretty good. Definitely a card I don't have experience with, so cool to see it here. And it's very powerful. Our path to victory is probably, and we should have memory lapsed there, that was a mistake, but our path to victory is probably Fairy Conclave. I hope we continue to shrink their stuff, but yeah, unfortunately, they're wise to it. And I think this time we forget that they can kill Fairy Conclave with the artifact ability of Pia and Kieran Nalar here. We memory lapse Stormwing. We draw a card. It's Dungeon Geist. This was, again, I think this was a mistake. I mean, they're probably going to hold it up for the rest of the game there anyway, but we probably should have Dungeon Geist and maybe tap down their Dungeon Geist. But we knew they had Stormwing coming, and that has prowess. We don't know. So I think this is where it kind of slips away. But we draw Voracious Hydra once again. We're just going to play it for enough. And I think this was a smart play. You want to make him into a 90-90 trample, but we want to play 2 spells here. We want to get our own flyer out. Should have enough toughness to get through what he's got, but what they have. But yeah, then they start going off, copying things, and it's just not good. Yeah, Pyromancer's Goggles, a cool addition. Origins is a core set, so it can be included. Other cool cards from core sets. Oh, and when I was younger and playing, especially with the white border, I was around 7th, 8th edition, 9th edition. Just thought core sets were the worst. And now I like them, and I like cubes like this that highlight the history of Magic through that unique way. There was a couple years we went without core sets, I think they're important, you know, especially the standard. And then we get Bane fired out. Okay, so we thought we had a draw there, but yeah, just the white bordered cards, just, you know, ew, yicky white bordered. But now I definitely appreciate, you know, what they are. I chuckle when people actually alter their cards to white border just to kind of tilt people off. So it has an unintended kind of humorous way that it's impacted the game. All these core sets, but there's so many cool things in core sets. You know, the Titans, the Gear. I don't know, the Gear Hulks weren't. They were Kaladesh, but tons of cool cycles. Very underpowered cards like Primeval Titan came from core sets. So this again will be another primetime game, as you can probably tell. Again, if you cheated there, I forgot to hide my record. So all right, and Enigma Drake, good card. You know, there is it. I think one time it got to like a 4/4, which still a 1/4 flyer for 3 is not bad. A 2/4 flyer, it gets bigger. I just don't know. Draft is hard, you know, for spells matters, but he's definitely, you know, obviously you see here his core cards are definitely around spells. So we memory lapse. The beacon does 5 damage to any target, so we memory lapse that. He was trying to block and do that. We're going to give him the opportunity again now, just because, you know, our opponent is so close to being dead here. So they play rewind. We did not predict that. I ended up boarding this card in quite a few times. Again, here, you know, just having them pick up their whole board and then us replaying, you know, cards that draws cards or like Wood Elves that gets. I felt like maybe I underrated this as kind of a weird sorcery speed upheaval. But we let them get us there because, you know, again, trample. We've, you know, Primetime's done their part. So again, we're going to draw here. They're going to block. I don't think they realized they looked at all the keywords there. Probably should have thrown the Enigma or whatever in front of it. I think that was a mistake by the opponent. They have, you know, a Planeswalker over here. So, you know, that happened. There was a lot of keywords on that. You know, they might have thought it was like Questing Beast or something like that, where the one ability it doesn't have is Trample. So that happens. That happens to me often. I would encourage people, you know, try to learn from it, but it will happen. There's a lot of cards in Magic, especially in these cubes which is so fun because they're highlighting cards. Like, again, I thought when I drafted this that it put it into play, which would be very good. Which, you know, is what Secure Tribe Elder basically does. You just have to sacrifice it, you know, to get a 1/1 that would, for 2, that would put and leave the creature would be pretty good, but very, very good, but, you know, still very powerful, especially since it's any land. So again, we're on our Elf Scout tribal plan here. Try to get up to big things. Again, we had seen this, but, you know, they kind of have to have it there. We felt like maybe we could pick up our Wood Elves, return this, and kind of slow them down. Thought maybe that was my path to victory. It was a real blowout. Was pretty frustrated here. And I think they got a copy there. I think they should have killed this and not given us that to copy, because that does put another land into play. But again, we're going to bribery here. It was our first pick, and it's very powerful. They actually, I probably should have boarded it out. Just kind of seeing what they had wasn't great for us. Doesn't seem like they had a lot of creatures. We went through it fast. We didn't get a chance to look at their deck, but yeah, they had like Dungeon Geist, Enigma Drake, Pyromancer, and, you know, a few other creatures. So probably should have taken bribery out, but Elder Gargaroth is going to be enough if they can't deal with it. And then we had Prime Time next turn as well. So just copying the Wood Elves there could have been, you know, a deciding factor there. They Searing Spirit us instead, you know, probably thinking they're going to get there on damage. And we take that one down. So I forgot, was that game 3? Oops. Yeah, I think that was. Oops, sorry about that. Yeah, so. Yeah, apologies. Yeah, we showed. So that was us taking down game 3. So now we're 2-0. And now you're probably getting to the point where you're understanding why I'm kind of going through these games to see, what could I have done differently? What worked in this environment? I think it ends in a day or so while I'm recording this. So wanted to go back and walk you through as I rewatch it and add some content to the channel and talk about this blue-green good stuff deck. So you see here an okay hand. I think we mulliganed and prayed to draw lands, and we did there. But our opponent has a very powerful black and white synergistic deck. Leonin War Leader, insanely powerful core card. Makes cats when it attacks, and I cannot do anything about it here. So we're just going to fly through, and you'll see I'm pretty much dead in by like turn 6 or something like that, which we got veto. So we don't see much of their deck here. Don't even know why we played this here because, yeah, we're pretty much dead. Cavalier Gales, I boarded in and out several times. I don't think I ever cast it. The triple blue was really hard without any fixing, so that was probably one I should have taken out. So we go to game 2 here. We can view our sideboard while the game starts. Yeah, so I took Cavalier Gales out. Don't really recall what I brought in for. Probably Palaka Worm. Again, maybe that's one I should have had in. I probably undervalued it. A 7/7. I have a couple of tricks to return it to my hand. It draws a card when it dies, so it replaces itself. Very, very good finisher. I felt like I had, with Gargaroth and Titan, had some really good top end anyway, but still, you want to look back at those things and say what worked and what didn't. And I think in these 2 games, it's very good because I figured if they were aggro, this will be a theme in the next couple games here. Lots of stealing of the prime time. Oblivion Ring was the bane of my existence in this. But again, we've got Fertile Ground. Primetime already got lands. That's huge. We're playing, these huge cards. So then we're able to use Peel from Reality to return it to our hands. So we had extra mana to do that. I think that was a key play there. And then we start chipping away with the Fairy Conclave, which was also very good. I think I got that last pick in a pack. And yeah, I think if there was another Blue Drafter at the table, I don't know what they had to pick between, but a 2/1 flyer in your lands, it definitely can help. So we get this back. We get some more lands. Again, we only played 16, so we're, only got a couple left here. We got Mindstone as ramp. We're going to go ahead and cycle it, basically. And then we're going to play the Worm again. And we can even play Looter. Oh, we attack with the Conclave. Fooled myself. See, maybe would have played it differently if I was playing again now. But, yeah, get in with the Worm. He does have a Death Touch. Again, not the best trade, but I get a card back. It's Mana Gorger Hydra. That really worked out. But they have a 4/6 Vigilance blocker, so yeah, we're just going to play some spells, get our last forest. Again, I felt like that makes green very powerful in this set. Pulling lands out of your deck and helping your draws is, maybe I don't know what it comes out to in the hypergeometric calendar, 2.8% or something like that, but, it's something. So. I don't know why we copied Seedborn Muse there. We really like to untap our lands, but maybe I just felt like, well, I needed to copy something, right? And that was the best one. So we go to Bribery. They say they've had enough. So you see kind of what's in their deck. Shadowborn Demon destroys a non-demon, so we were probably going to take that. Or Leonin War Leader and just get him down. But so you see now we go to game 3, the finals. I think every game went to 3, right? So we played the maximum amount of games. There's quite a few instances where it could have gone either way. But really the reason I wanted to talk about this, as you can kind of watch, again, apologies if it's going a little too fast, but wanted to kind of keep this brief. We're already up to 30 minutes here. What I really wanted to talk about here is my initial response about this deck was it wasn't worth showing because it's just green-white. I believe I said to Mr. Hodge himself, it's just blue-green good stuff. You know, what can I really show there? I just took the best cards. I got, Primetime and Bribery. Got some other very powerful cards, and there he goes again. Bribery basically just got the concession on multiple times. Maybe I should have paused there because, again, that was a tougher call. They had the Demon, they had some other things, but, the Hypnotic Spectre I thought was going to kill me, basically, because it's a flyer. I don't have anything with a flyer right now. And I believe they had that Demon that kills a non-demon. They must have had it in their hand, or they boarded it out. So I took the Cavalier, thankful to our opponent had, because if they continue to make us discard, we're in rough shape. One of my favorite first loves in Magic was Hypnotic Spectre, so it was very painful to see it hit. Probably very good in a core cube. In other cubes I've played it in, it just doesn't do much, or I feel like I don't connect as much as when you were playing Dark Ritual into Hypnotic Spectre back in my casual. It's very casual at going through people's boxes of cards and putting things together. Nothing better than a Hypnotic Spectre. Discards a card at random when it hits, if anybody doesn't know. But yeah, so we decided to kill that. It looks like our opponent, we had the memory lapse, so that really slowed them down. They still have the Golem, but we've got a flyer. We're attacking them with their own creature. They finally decide to block here. Don't want to go down to 8. And then we play the Mana Gorger Hydra. Again, Leonin War Leader, very good, but I believe last turn we memory lapsed it, so they actually lost. They might have lost the life to play it. I don't remember, but yeah. So Dungeon Geist is going to tap it down, and then we have enough here. I did not know what to expect from this deck, from this cube, and you see part of the reason I wanted to show this, as you've obviously most likely picked up, is we did get the trophy. We did. Oh, that was the only game that didn't go to. No, they all went to 3. Yeah, so all the games went to. All the matches went to 3 games. We had a lot of fun. And my response again was, it's just blue-green good stuff. Primetime did primetime stuff. Bribery did bribery stuff. And I appreciate, my longtime friend and again, the host of this channel said to me that often people say that. But 3-0 is still not easy. This is my first trophy, and I'm bummed that I didn't record the draft portion so we can go over it and the games live or whatever. But since I've started the show, this is my first trophy. My first 3-0 since starting the Cube Counselor. So I wanted to go over it, and I hope that you enjoyed it. It might have been spoiled right away as you looked at the results down here, but was trying to hide it a little bit there. But I was very excited. I did not expect it. Again, it's just part of my exploration in Cube is these cubes that have a lot of cards that I don't remember or don't have experience with. I did take, a 10-year or ish break from Magic. So there's a lot of cards that I haven't got to play with. And then I'm not always the best at finding synergy. So again, my immediate response was to downplay my result. Hopefully you saw in there, I feel like we had some skill-based decisions that we had to make. It wasn't just jamming the good cards. We had to, bribery for the right cards. We had to Voracious Hydra, a few times correctly to find, our best avenue to win. We played against some good decks. It wasn't like, our opponents were mulliganing to 3 and never playing a land or anything like that. So I felt like as someone who his intention, he hasn't expressed an intention to be part of the show or guide, what the topics are. He gave me the topic, so I appreciate that. Another a gift from him. I talked last week about him really getting me into cube magic in general, which has been a great gift for me. Um, we talk often about magic and other things, music, life, whatever. Um, so he offers a lot to my life as a friend, and then for him to come with that, as ironic as it sounds, as the clinical counselor who should be mindful of making these self-deprecating comments, or discrediting yourself right away. So that's my takeaway from this. Not only did I want to show the 3-0, but I wanted to offer that as a point of reflection for you, who's ever listening to this, and for myself to kind of walk through those feelings and emotions. And we often are the first to discredit ourselves, and it's good to have great people around you that will remind you, hey, you don't have to immediately discount. Again, you see, we battled through 9 games, the full. Again, it wasn't like we 2-0, 2-0, 2-0. And again, our opponent's mulliganed or anything like that. So, I really appreciate that from him. I definitely will try to do better in the future. Of course, there is some honesty in the statement. There was some very powerful cards in here. But, if we're going to say for the negative results that we try to practice Radicube acceptance and avoid, harboring those negative feelings or those times when things don't go well, then I think it's important that when things do go well, that you reflect on it as well. Doesn't mean I should, also go the opposite extreme and post, that I'm undefeated in cube and better than everyone in the core cube. But it's all about balance, and you have to do it. Find it when things are tough, and also find it when things are good. Give yourself some credit. So I would like to publicly put on record that I feel like I played well. There was a couple games. I think I lost the only game I had to mulligan, but I believe I mulliganed to 5. It was a tough decision. Rolled the dice on lands, was able to hit the lands. Ended up losing, but I still feel like if I was able to look back at that mulligan decision, it was the right decision again. A couple plays with Voracious Hydra. I believe I killed the Oblivion Ring instead of a creature on board to get back prime time to continue to basically ramp. And that ended up being the right call because I was able to, double spell and play Palaka Worm again. So I do want to give myself some credit, and I will try to do better in the future. And that's part of what this is about. And again, I think another important note here is even those of us who train and practice this struggle with those kind of things. So if you're struggling too, I encourage you, find your Haj Gulashi out there. Find somebody that can give you honest feedback when you need it, because that is very important. And I have several people like that in my life for many things, and I think it's important for myself as someone who struggles with that. But again, my point was to highlight the 3-0, talk about that, and keep it brief. So I will thank you for listening today. Please tune in. We have some videos up for when I play Sea of Thieves with our host and some other friends. And yeah, check out the old videos if you haven't. And again, I hope everyone had a happy Thanksgiving if you celebrate. I certainly understand those who choose not to, and respect that as well. And I hope if you celebrate any holidays coming up that you do so safely and you try to make the best of a challenging situation. And take care.